going on, guys? Welcome back to RC Everyday. So, found some of the XVD axle shafts for the Yota 2 axles. After I posted that video or something, I don't remember if it was a post on social media, but guys at RC Hobbies Orlando had a bunch of them in stock. They're out of stock. RC4 Drive was out of stock, and all the big retailers were, so I picked up a couple of those because, you know, I'm going to break stuff. And, yeah, there's been a lot of discussion with folks about why these are breaking. I think the part of it mainly is the this truck, especially with the large tire, it does get in there and rub the frame a little bit at full lock. If you saw at the end of that video from Kentucky, I had the clip when it actually broke at the very end. It really wasn't that flexed out. I don't know. I think it was just turned all the way. And I think the reason I never had any issue with this before is over the past year or so, I've been switching over to the new DX5 Pro. And I'm not in love with Spectrum radios by any means, but I love my DX3S, my old radio, and I don't know what... I'm not an electronics wizard. I don't know how to set the end stops and stuff. This, I got used like, geez, 12, 13 years ago. And I've just been reprogramming it over and over with different rigs as I change them out. But the last couple years, I've been switching rigs over to the DX5, mainly because it has, I think, like 200 vehicle capacity. So I can program everything for up to 200 trucks on it. DX3 only allows for 10. So that's been a struggle for a while after we started building the rat rods. And then I've got 4 or 5 crawlers. And it just, yeah, it was a pain to stay on that radio. But I think whatever was set up on that radio was, it had endpoint set, and it never gave me any problem, because now with the DX5 I've been snapping front axle shafts on these Yota 2 axles. So it's something to explore, but we're not going to talk about that today because it's electronic stuff and I don't really want to get into it. We're going to mess with the meat and potato stuff that I like to deal with, the axles themselves. So you saw me, it was super easy to change those out. You don't have to pull the center section out. Basically remove the tires and wheels, take the pins out, remove your knuckles, slides everything right out. Checked all the bearings, a little dirty, cleaned up some of that stuff, but it got me looking. So I've been collecting broken axles for a long time, and I don't have as many broken ones as I thought I did. I got 3 good, 3 bad, we'll say. So we're gonna take a look at that. I'm gonna show you in detail, since we actually have them out, some of the differences between the Yota 1 and the Yota 2. I know Yota 2s look a little bit better. That's part of the reason I switched over some of my older TF2s. Yeah, they never really quit working on me. They look more scaled. They have the... Let me get a closer look for you. Alright, so we got Yota 2 in the front, Yota 1 in the rear. Obviously, the diameter of the axle tube itself is smaller. It's just a little more realistic looking. The front diff cover is interchangeable, separate piece. They had an improved knuckle design. It actually has a bit more caster in it. So that's one thing I know I was looking at doing actually with this. I was trying to see if I could swap these Yota 2 knuckles, because this is the axle that has the stripped out screws on one side. See if I could move the knuckle to a Yota 1 that I had that is an upgrade, you know, because it gives you, these Yota 1s only had one-sided mounts, the Yota 2s have both. So it gives you a little more options with your steering linkage, so you can work your steering shaft and your drag link and stuff around the diff of the axle itself, or your steering arms and all of that stuff underneath the truck, to get it to drop a little bit more. And that ties in with a lot of the main mods that I always do, with adding the Jalon 2 hoops, which I know the Marlin crawler comes with on it now. I don't know if the standard TF2 kit comes with that or not, but giving the shocks a little bit more room to work, and also you have to give the axle a little bit more room to work underneath as well. So that's one of the things we do with that, and having these where you can put your drag link in the back and use those bent rods and things, and you just have your steering across the front. Cuts down on stuff hanging down, catching on the rocks, and all of that jazz. To get you a good angle, I can't tell. Ever since I had to switch camera lenses, I can't tell if that's going to come out clear or not. So Yota 1 really doesn't have any caster. Your screws are pretty much parallel through the axle. Yota 2 gives you quite a bit. It's angled back, and that improves the steering range, but it doesn't improve the range of the stock internal joint there. It's a little ball and cup thing that it has. You have basically your ball with a T, and then you have your cup. It's just like your standard old to me, a high lift type drive shaft situation. You know, it's just got the dog bone with the cup, and yeah, this allows it to turn further, and it doesn't always want to turn further on the inside. And I think that's what's happened. You get it in there, and it just gets at the right spot. If you've got the weight of the truck on that tire, and it can get it in the bind, and as soon as you straighten out, or sometimes it locks and it won't let you straighten it out, and you keep throttling, if you don't catch it quick enough, just snaps that end. Usually the cup end snaps. I haven't had any where the actual dog bone end has snapped on it. Also, a little bit of difference, the third member of the Yota 2 and the Yota 1, you can see it's just a little bit more detailed, a little bit more defined in the casting, looks a little bit more realistic. Somebody pointed out, I hadn't even seen them, RC 4-wheel drive has a TEQ axle. It's a Yota style, but it looks a little bit more robust. I've been told they're SCX 10 width, so I don't know that that would really look right on a TF2. I'm looking for something to upgrade old Red here because it's a pretty serious truck. It's linked front and back, but that axle looks fantastic. It's got a really neat looking scale truss system for a 4-link mount, but I don't think it's going to be the right look because I don't want to have to rebuild the whole truck. I was just looking for something a little bit beefier than the Yota axles for it, but now we've got those XVD shafts in there. I don't think we're going to have any major problems out of it, knock on wood. So I've got a spare set of these XVDs here, and I'm just going to hang on to them. I'm not going to replace any of the trucks. We just put a brand new axle in the blue Blazer. Just replaced the whole thing because I couldn't get the parts in time. So I'll just set on that, put that in my travel bin in case it happens to me somewhere. Now that I know it's a pretty easy swap. But I was going through all my junk trying to piece together what I've got. So this axle is pretty much just a shell. It's got the shafts on the ends, nothing much to it. I've only got this one Yota 2, and I have everything to fix that. Between the broken shaft out of here, the good shaft was the opposite side that was broke on this one. So I've got the full shafts. I've got the replacement bearing for the one that failed, which I don't know where that came from, but that actually looks like RC 4-wheel drive packaging, and yeah. So we've got the bearing for that. I just need a new housing. And I went through and I tried to clean up the threads on this, and yeah, it's not going to hold. I can't get the screws out, but I can't get them to tighten either. Those threads were pretty well smooth in there, so just trying to throw junk back together with the junk I got. So I looked for a housing for this. There's not any available anywhere right now, which is it's fine. I don't need it right now, but I've got an inventory of what I've got. I've been trying to go through and organize my stuff again. Hopefully not much longer. I'll be working out of boxes. So I've got this one, just needs a new housing. Like I said, those screws are boogered up. And this one's just a shell. It doesn't have center gears or anything. That one, probably just used for the housing parts if I ever need it. That's a Yota 1 as well. This Yota 1 is missing one shaft. And I'm not 100% sure if the shafts will work from the Yota 1s and Yota 2s. I've been told they will. I've been told that these, I could have used the XVDs from the Yota 1s to fit in there because those are available everywhere and they're about $5 cheaper, but I don't know that for a fact. If anybody's done that in the comments, let me know, because I might grab a couple of those too. What else? This one, that's the one with the broken, this side's broken, the long side. That's just a tub. But then I've got, this is a rear, this came off the RC Model X truck, and it was pretty well used, but it feels fantastic. So that one is actually a good axle, and the front axle on that, pretty well worn, but I cleaned it up. Feels fantastic as well. And these are old. I've never seen that before. I've never noticed. This is an actual RC 4-wheel drive one, and it feels good too. This one is not broken. This is the one I actually used on the mod rod for the front wheel drive setup that never really panned out. But it's in good shape, and there's nothing on it. But these two that I got from RC Model X have numbers on them here. This one says 85 on the upper half and 7 on the bottom. The rear says 93 and 93. So I don't know what that's about. I don't know if these are an actual RC 4-wheel drive axle that were used with the RC Model X trucks, or it was just something sourced from overseas. If anybody's got any information on what those casting numbers mean, be curious to find out. It's not really important, but might be neat to know. Also, it's got a hollow end on the shaft too, on the output, on the center gear. It's very different. But I've got a set of good axles here, so it's got me thinking we need to build another truck. I don't know 100% where all my chassis rails are. I've got a GCM C-Max chassis, but I really don't think those are the right axles for that, because it's kind of... I'm looking to do a cheap build. I don't have any Trailfinder 2 chassis laying around. I might have a few Galan 2s, so we'd have to convert that to leaf spring. Or I've got 4-link stuff. I don't know. It's just something to think about. When you keep an inventory of used parts, you never know what you might be able to piece together out of it. But that wraps it up for this video, guys. Just a little quick kind of a tech video. Those shafts are easy to install, and some of the differences between the Yota 1s and the Yota 2s. I don't know that one's really better than the other. I like the steering setup with the Yota 2, but, you know, like I said, I've got a set of Yota 1s that are perfectly good. Might as well build a truck with them. There's no point in wasting them. And we got old Red back up and running, so that makes me happy. I don't know what the future will hold for that truck, but I just can't bring myself to change it too much. That's kind of the thought I was having. Beefing it up a little bit, making some big changes, but it's like I said, that if you're new, that truck, I've had it for over 12 years. Back before I had a dime, I bought, TF2 came out, I don't even remember when it was. It was around 2010, I think, and I started buying pieces. It was before I even bought my house. And every payday I'd buy chassis rails, and then I'd buy an axle, and I'd buy the gearbox. And I probably paid a fortune for that truck, and pieced it together over the years, and did the 4-link and the 3-link long time ago. It's got a lot of old stuff you can't really get anymore, and it's just a beast. I love it. I bobbed the bed myself. It's not one of the Marlin beds or anything. One of my first scale interiors, the door panels and all that. So I definitely don't want to change it. It's almost as important to the channel to me as the rat rods are, I think, at this point. It's immortalized. So yeah, we'll just keep doing little upgrades. Because again, like, build the trucks like they're real life. You know, I can't afford to build a full, complete truck, but, you know, average Joe might start building a truck with some old axles his buddy handed down to him, or sold him cheap, or traded for, or something. You never know. So stuff like that's what makes it fun for me, is to build kind of at a realistic level, and not just the looks, but quality. But appreciate you guys watching. I know everybody really seems to be into the TF2 content lately, and yeah, I keep trying to share everything I know with you guys, so hopefully y'all can get out there and have some fun with them, and have some fun with your friends and family. But until next time, keep it scale, and I'll see you in the next video.